Alright, welcome back to the channel. It's your host Slick, and today we're doing things a little differently here. But first, I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine from Task Force 21. This is Ghostgilly, all the way from the land of the elves. Welcome, Gilly.
Hello.
Yes, we have our residential elf here who, ironically, understands Russian, which is perfect because we need his expertise for what we're talking about today.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, but don't worry about that. We're talking about the Operation Motherland trailer that dropped on Tuesday for Ghost Recon Breakpoint. If you haven't seen it, don't expect me to be like one of those channels that's like, go see it on your own, because I'm going to show it to you right now. And then when you're done watching it, we're going to start going over shit.
Hey Ghosts! Operation Motherland is the brand new update for Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Set a few months after the event of Operation Greenstone, Operation Motherland is led by an old friend of the Ghosts, Karen Bowman. After you and your squad completed your original mission on Aroa, the island quickly became a strategic place for powerful countries looking to get their hands on its technology. In response, the CIA has tasked Karen Bowman to defuse this global upcoming crisis by giving the control of the island to a neutral force, the Outcasts, led by Harui Ito. To do so, you will have to help the Outcasts get rid of the remaining enemy forces in a brand new mode, the Conquest Mode. The Conquest Mode is a new alternative mode to Ghost Recon Breakpoint story mode. You will have to conquer various territories of Aroa by carrying out various destabilization missions. Note that each of the missions you complete will have an impact on the world dynamics, such as deactivating drone surveillance, removing enemy presence, or increasing outcast patrols. Choose the mission you want in any order and reshape the world of Aroa. Territories are ruled by lieutenants. Destabilize and conquer all the regions of a territory will give you clues to identify its lieutenant, neutralize them, and liberate the area. Freeing all the territories will allow players to reach the final region and complete the liberation of Aroa. And as you might have guessed, Sentinel aren't going to be the only enemies you'll have to fight on your quest to free Aroa. Operation Motherland will see the return of an iconic enemy of the Ghosts, the Bodarks. Allied to the Sentinel and Wolves, they brought their own helicopters and trucks, adding new convoys and patrols throughout Aroa. Players will have to fight 5 enemy archetypes with new gameplay mechanics, bringing an extra layer of tactical options. The Tactician is a caller. He'll try to stay alive and call up numerous reinforcements to overwhelm the Ghosts. The Oppressor and Dreadnought both carry extra armor, while the Oppressor is a rusher that will come at you with his SMG. The Dreadnought will stay further away from you with his rocket launcher. Finally, the Trooper and Seeker are both riflemen. While the Trooper is a standard soldier, the Seeker comes with an extra piece of tech in his kit. Indeed, Operation Motherland also marks the return of an iconic feature, the Optical Camo. You will be able to unlock the Optical Camo in the Conquest Mode, as well as its own progression system that will offer you ways to make it even more efficient. Upgrading the Optical Camo will allow you to improve its battery duration or even increase the efficiency of the camo. While the Optical Camo can be unlocked and upgraded in the Conquest Mode, you will also be able to equip it in the Story Mode once unlocked. That's not all, Ghosts. Operation Motherland also comes with a bunch of other gameplay additions and improvements. Maximum XP level has been raised to 99 instead of 30, providing a new long-term objective to everyone with unlockable weapons and gear. A new weapon mastery system will now allow you to use your extra skill points in order to improve certain characteristics of selected weapon categories. Talking about weapons, the Bodarks have brought with them 5 new Russian weapons and variants that you will be able to get your hands on, as well as 6 new weapons and variants that will be available in Maria's shop. Maria's shop will also be restocked with various new customization options and vehicle skins. Furthermore, by progressing in the liberation of Aroa in the Conquest Mode, you will be able to unlock new weapons, equipment, and vehicle skins. Once unlocked, they will also be available in the Story Mode. Finally, as a celebration for the 20th anniversary of Ghost Recon, this update will also include 3 iconic skins of famous characters from previous games. That's all for me, Ghosts. Hope you're as excited as I am for this new content. See you soon on Aroa.
All right, I assume you've already gone ahead and watched the trailer. Good on you. Now let's go ahead and review. So, obviously the intro, they're basically explaining that it's the brand new update, all those kind of things. We don't really need to talk too much about the introduction. But one of the first things I do want to point out is that they talk about how when you come back and you need to basically do everything you need to do, one of the first things they show you the map pretty much broken down, and they've brought it into a bunch of chunks. So let's kind of talk about that for a quick second. What's the first thing you notice about all the chunks, Gilly? I'm going to ask you.
I mean, first of all, I would refer them not as chunks, but as like
You know what?
provinces and sectors. But I understand what you're trying to mean.
Thank you.
Basically, to me, what comes up with that is that it's similar to how Wildlands was broken up. Each province is kind of its own border and its own like section, if that makes sense.
Right.
So it seems like what they've done is that they've separated the island into certain provinces, but the provinces are all together because on that right side, and please forgive me for not knowing all the names because I don't exactly know all the names of the provinces in Breakpoint by heart, but there were three of them that were separate, but they were all as one.
Yeah,
So it's like I said, it's kind of like a Wildlands format is what I'm picking off from it.
they are actually doing something like that because if you look at the image that's kind of at around 50 seconds, and I'll pull it up in the video. If you look at about 50-second marker, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 territories more or less. But one of the first things is if you look at kind of the supposed bottom left corner, it's a pretty big chunk of land that's kind of covered in there. But when you actually go into the in-game map, that's actually the Channels province and the Seal Island province kind of combined. And you can tell when you highlight over the two of them together, you can more or less see the full outline of the two combined. So it looks like some of these provinces slash territories are going to be kind of combined together. And I guess that's more for them to cover. I think if you also look at the same image, the Whalers Bay province and the Wild Coast also look like they're combined. I don't know if they're combined with anything else though. I don't know. I just wanted to point that out. Your thoughts on that about like them combining some of the provinces together? I don't know.
I mean, I think the main reason they've done it in this kind of sector, or as you refer to as chunks, is
Stop. That's me
is
forgetting.
is I feel like it's okay. It's two reasons. One, there's too many provinces that they couldn't, in a DLC format, do every single province for like, as its own little thing. So what they've done is that they've gone by territory. So from what if I'm reading this right, it'll go from the southern region to the western, the northern, and eastern. From how they've broken this up, and then they have a centralized district, which is usually the mountainous one, the one that's most common.
Right. But yeah, that'll be interesting, I
Yeah,
think.
it's basically like a sector control. I'm trying to think of a word for it, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, you're good. But like right after that, because I think pretty much the map, once you start looking more into like the territories and seeing how they all kind of how each province slash sector is kind of broken up, you start getting that general idea of okay, these are going to be combined, or this area belongs to this and this. So you
Keep
can
in
kind of
mind that Gollum Island is also its own sector.
so that's actually something that was interesting because if you actually go to the Ghost Recon forum page about it, the article that they dropped, if I remember correctly, and I'll have to pull up the image, so let me do that now and I'll put it up in the video so people can see what I'm talking about. It looks like Golem Island might be closed off because there's three
I,
areas that have like the
yeah,
red lines through them. So that's kind of interesting.
I'm just find the image myself for it.
Here I got you.
Oh yeah, no, I see. Yeah, okay. I'm going to assume that means the level of control because if you look, each side is shaded. So we've got one that's green and one that's like blue, and then yeah, you have like the gray, like grayish black, I want to say, and then the one with the stripes. So that's probably like what's under enemy occupation, and then the different colors just varies between like what's under your control and what's not. Because in the trailer they talk about, choices and consequences when you're. So do we want to talk about that? The main point of it?
Yeah, let's actually segment into the main point with the whole conquest mode and how they talk
Yeah,
about that.
because that's going to be the main theme for
Right.
Motherland. It's just retaking Aurora for like the second time now. So, based in this conquest mode, to summarize it, um, Russian forces have occupied Aurora and they've split it off into sectors like we just talked about. And each sector is controlled by a lieutenant or lieutenant if you're from the US. And the idea is that for this conquest mode, we are to set in, basically infill on the island, and then work with the outcasts to free each sector. And they talk about that each outcome has a positive and a negative side to it. Basically, if we liberate a province, then the enemy presence will be less, and there'll be more of an outcast presence. Or if we, I don't know, let's say, lose an area, I don't know if this was talked about in the article, but that's from what I've been hearing. Is that if we lose one, then there's going to be increase of enemy forces.
I'd have to
So it's
pull up
can
the article actually, because
I know
I
the, I know
don't.
the word they used in the trailer was destabilization.
Right.
So it's going to be most likely a variety of different objectives to complete to just kind of like break the enemy, so to say.
I thought it was going to be more of like a Wildlands approach where you just destabilize the area, you get like slight bonuses and stuff, and then you go from there. Because
Yeah.
I hadn't heard any, I'll be honest, I had not heard anything about the like consequences of destabilizing one area.
Well, one of the thing is that you have choices. So as a bit of a spoiler to it is that and this is in the article, so it's not technically a spoiler because they've revealed it, but which each Bodark lieutenant, and yes, Bodark is returning. We'll talk about that in a bit here. You have the option of either kill or capture. So you can either neutralize the lieutenant or you can capture it. I would like to assume that there's a different outcome for whatever way you do it, but that's just one of the choices that is being made in it. So we'll have to obviously wait and see what the actual missions are and how that's going to affect the Conquest mode. Excuse me,
No, you could.
had something throat.
Because it could
Yeah,
potentially end up like Wildlands, where some of the missions are very specific, like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that kind of thing. And you don't really get much of a say, like, whether you want to eliminate certain lieutenants or not.
yeah. Well, a lot of the missions you got to keep in mind, Wildlands, and for the main story of Breakpoint, it's mainly set in stone, where it's like, stealth this base, don't get detected. If you do, it's a mission failed. And then I want to say what they're trying to do with this conquest mode is that if you're stealthing a base, like taking it over an enemy camp, you can, stealth it and then neutralize the base, no problem, no alerts, and then you're good. Or, because we're working with the outcast, so I'm assuming we're going to have a more influence of the rebel support.
Right.
So let's see if we're going loud and then we take heavy casualties and then some rebels die or quite a lot of them die, and it's just like, well, we've captured the position, but we've lost a lot of forces. Now, keep in mind, this is just speculation. This is just what I'm thinking in my head. It may not work that way, but it's a start.
Okay. No, but that would, honestly, if that's the way that the conquest mode is going to be implemented, that is genuinely going to give a lot of replayability to conquest mode, I think. Because, first off, there's now you're giving multiple options for ways, and it's not just a, oh, however you want to get the mission done so long as you get it done kind of thing. Now it's like how you play to it is going to affect everything. And I
Yeah.
think that'll be really interesting. It'll definitely, at least in my opinion, that's going to give this mode a lot of replayability, and I can easily see Conquest mode becoming like the only thing people play on Breakpoint, without a doubt.
That's fair.
So, because yeah, as kind of piggybacking off what you were saying, God, I can't English today. They talk about literally seconds after the showing the whole island. They talk about how you'll have an impact on the world, such as deactivating drone surveillance, reducing enemy presence, and even increasing outcast presence. with the patrols. One of the first things that kicks to me is deactivating drone surveillance. Are we gonna finally have an excuse for all the drone swarms that we just kind of see coming out of the giant like pillars throughout Aroa? You know what I'm talking about, those giant like
Hmm.
drone silos that just
I mean, they're not difficult to miss.
yeah, they're impossible to miss, but it's like they sit there and they just kind of act like, "Oh, hey, like the ones on the outskirts make sense because it's like, oh hey, they're the ones that keep you from leaving the island. But there's a bunch of them also just in the dead middle of the island. Like, why are there missile silos in the center of the island if they're not if they're meant for keeping people from leaving the perimeter? And I have a feeling that those are just going to be like the drone surveillance. So that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I might be 100% wrong, but I would
Like I
like to
said,
see those have a
it's all
use.
speculation,
Yeah,
right?
it is,
So we won't know until the update launches to see how it plays out.
which I cannot wait for. Cannot wait for this update. I know a lot of people have been saying that too. You already kind of went over the whole lieutenant section, so I don't think there's really too much to talk about. But one of the things I wanted to point out is, did you notice that kind of as you look at the map, they're talking about the different objectives. There's a bunch of little markers everywhere that just kind of turn into green check marks. I couldn't tell what the symbols were before, but I assume that those are all kind of like little objectives and missions you can complete in order to get to the lieutenants.
That's what I'm thinking too. It's going to be primarily like missions, like outposts. Because keep in mind, right now we have Sentinel that's occupying checkpoints, and they're patrolling, and so I feel like that's just going to be the overall like enemy movement. I could
Right.
be wrong.
What's also interesting is if you watch the trailer, I don't know if you noticed this, because as we mentioned in the forum post that was made by Ubisoft, they said that there were 4 lieutenants total. When you watch the trailer, the archipelago is broken up into 3 lieutenants, which tells me that there's got to be a fourth lieutenant, and he's either the head honcho of all of them, or he's probably in control of like an isolated portion like Golem Island, let's say.
Yeah, and Golem Island, yeah.
Or do you think it's going to be kind of like Wildlands where it's like, oh, you've got these 3 lieutenants and then you've got the final one that you got to deal with once these 3 are gone? Kind of like in
Well,
Fallen Ghost.
I mean, I wouldn't know much about Fallen Ghosts
Oh,
because I've yet to
sorry.
play it still.
Sorry, I didn't mean to spoil that.
So, but I've forgotten where I was.
No,
I was just
we were
thinking
just
for a
talking about
moment.
the we just talking about the 3 lieutenants in the video and how there's supposed to be 4.
Yeah,
Because it
well,
also said, oh, sorry.
because the way Wildlands was formatted is that you obviously had your objectives, right?
Right.
And you had your Buchons, which was like kind of the underdogs. And then when you take it, this is how I'm going to word it. So the 3 lieutenants that we see, they're essentially no, disregard that. I'm going to change what I'm just saying. Okay, so enemy commands, or let's say there's like a commanders or something that are in there in the game. They're the Buchons. So let's say we take out a camp, and then we have find a sergeant or something, and then we take
Mhm.
him out. He reveals what a lieutenant is. The lieutenant is going to be the underboss, and then take out the underboss, and then you have the head boss. Because with Wildlands, there was the head of security and the head of production, and you know what I mean.
Right.
So the lieutenants are going to serve as that role, and then what I'm saying is that we have people that are underneath them, because there's how a chain of command structure works is that you start from your lower enlisted and they work to your senior officers.
Right.
So basically, we're going to go up the chain of command until we find the who's in
Lieutenants.
charge. Yeah.
That'll definitely be fun. I'm curious to see how they plan to incorporate some of those. And then
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I don't think we really need to like spoil or go too in depth with the next frame because unless we want to talk about the helicopter shown in both shots, but pretty much the next shot's literally just revealing, yeah, it's not just Sentinel and the wolves you're fighting. we're bringing Bodark into this as well, which I
Hmm.
know that there was something that we were talking about before we started recording that you might want to
Yes.
bring up again because I know
Yeah,
you were talking
I
about that.
feel like I definitely do because there was a lot of discussion in a different group that I was part in regarding yeah. So as we're saying, it's been announced that Bodark, which if you don't know who Bodark is basically the Russian equivalent of the Ghosts. So they're a Spetsnaz team or a brigade because they're originally a unit. And there was a discussion that was going on with another group that I was talking to, and they were confused about Bodark's presence because they were confused with the fact that they were ultranationalists, and that's not true. And this is all coming from the lore and from the games. So Bodark is a Spetsnaz brigade, as I've mentioned. So the Russian special forces equivalent to the Ghost. The ultranationalist group that people are referring to is what's called Raven's Rock. Now, in a previous DLC for Breakpoint, we had Red Patriot, where we had the return of Raven's Rock as well as Bodark. In Future Soldier and the events of 2024, there were Bodark operators that went rogue and joined Raven's Rock because there's a mission in Future Soldier where you stop the attempted assassination of the Russian president. And that mission was organized by Bodark operators that went rogue, that were against the government. Now, in this current with Motherland, the Bodarks that we are going to be up against are part of the Federation. Like they're still part of the Russian military. So that's kind of the difference in. Yeah, we talked about this earlier, but it's a good point to bring it back up because so many
Yeah.
people are confused.
I'm always going to poke some fun at this. Like the helicopters, when the Sentinel are flying by, or when Sentinel's helicopters are coming in, they kind of look like the Blackhawks, which we don't have in Breakpoint.
I'm gonna be completely honest with everybody here, and I'm not gonna lie through anything. That's probably just a cinematic thing.
Honestly, I think so too.
Because there was a previous teammate experience video where they had the UH-60 in the background, and that never came. And then, funny enough, in also another teammate video, I'm pretty sure it's the same video. And I might actually, when I find it, I'll pull up a timestamp for select the post.
Yep.
But there was a clip where Nomad and the AI, your teammates, are crawling to the ground, and then flying above them is a Russian Mi-24, like attack helicopter. And it's the same model that was used in Future Soldier. Now, as far as I'm aware, unless it's hiding somewhere, there are no Russian Mi-24s currently roaming around. Are we going to see those helicopters? I don't think so. I think they're just going to use the whatever the current attack helicopter is in this game that
Be a
I do
lot
not
cooler
know
if
the
they
name
did.
of. I would love to see the return of the Mi-24, especially since Breakpoint in the timeline is a year after the events of Future Soldier, which is in
Hmm.
Future Soldier takes place 2024. So it's not outside the realm of possibilities.
It's not.
But it just depends on like the extra effort that Ubisoft going through. So, but me personally, I'm beyond happy that the rumors of a new enemy faction have been put to rest because I am beyond glad that we're getting a new faction because I'm extremely bored of Sentinel and the Wolves, me personally.
And getting. I remember you were kind of disappointed that the only Bodark that showed up for Red Patriot were literally just the lieutenants.
Yeah, I was
You were just like,
because
bruh.
I no, I was not even joking. I was seriously bummed out because in the trailer they showed the Bodark operators patrolling around and they were clear as day visible with the Ravens Rock patches on them. But in the actual game, they weren't there. There were not any Bodark soldiers or operators. They were just the lieutenants that you killed. Now, keep in mind, I believe one of the lieutenants was or the commanders was a wolf you have to kill.
Right.
But like for the rest, yeah, because when you do Bukarov's missions, there's a part where it's the one where you have to start the beginning off defusing bombs
Hmm.
that civilians are tied to, and then I remember very clearly that after you defuse them, they're mentioned like, oh, Bukarov's men are at a checkpoint. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was playing through it and I was like, finally. And but turns out, quote unquote, Bukarov's men were just Sentinel.
Hmm.
Yeah. Everyone knows I was extremely bummed out with the lack of Bodark, but now it seems that's being made up for, and we're actually getting it. And if Slick allows me to, I'll probably talk on and on a bit more about Bodark and all the stuff comes with them.
Honestly, at this point, we might as well because most of the rest of what we were gonna point out from the trailer is mostly just stuff about Bodark. Like
Well, yeah, Bodark and the Russian involvement.
right. I don't even know if
No,
I want to touch on the helicopters at like when they flip from the Sentinel to Bodark. I don't even know if I want to start touching on those helicopters and ask
mm,
you about those.
well, the helicopters are seen in the with the Bodark preview. I want, like I said, that's the attack helicopter that's currently in game that I have no idea what the name is called.
Hmm.
It literally looks like a Ka-52, but not a Ka-52.
Right, probably licensing reasons.
So probably I don't know. Like I said, I'd like to see the Mi-24, but not. The interesting thing about that screenshot or that clip, the flag that is flying in the background where the Bodark are overlooking, that's actually the current flag of the Russian army, but the colors are just different. Because the current flag of the Russian army, and this is not just the military, this is the army specifically. You have basically the star that looks like a Star Trek kind of symbol, the way I'm going to describe it, and then you got your white, blue, and your red. This time they've gone for a black and red touch to it, which, in my personal opinion, looks quite nice. And that's not all with Bodark though, because we have not only just a new faction, but we have new enemies.
Which will,
So, and I believe there are 5
yeah,
enemies.
we're gonna get to that in a hot second. The first thing I wanted to
Okay.
obviously point out, we're really just jumping everywhere. But even though I was like, let's try and go frame by frame through this, but it's like, nope, we're gonna go through like jumping well everywhere. But no, really fast. One thing I wanted to point out is right after they show that the Bodark are the new enemies. First thing you can see is as they show 3 different environments, you can see the Bodark soldiers wearing 3 different sets of
Yes,
camo.
yes, yes, yes,
And I
yes.
personally, I like that because
Me too.
you're gonna have a difference in variety in uniform, so it's not just the same Sentinel and jeans and patrol caps and the same gray black shirts with the olive drab
I
gear
am
around them.
beyond tired of hearing of being in like a mountainous cold weather environment and then hearing a sentinel in blue jeans and a t-shirt complain about the cold.
My favorite's the gun turret, gun turret. Like, bruh, we get it.
A lot of the Sentinel lines just jumping off script here are
There's
just
a
big
script.
moods. Is there a
There's,
script?
there's a script. I deadass just had a Word document that literally only said invite Gilly, go ham. Oh wait, there's a third line. It says don't let Gilly spend 2 hours talking about Bodark.
Fair. Okay, then we'll jump on. Okay, so from now, let's continue with sections,
Right.
and we'll talk about different ones. So what do you want to currently talk about now? Because what we just talked about is the different uniform patterns, which for those of you who don't know, or haven't seen the trailer, or are currently watching it as we speak, you'll see it in the couple frames where they will have different camouflage patterns depending on the environment. Now, I've been able to confirm the 3 of them. I don't know if there's any more, but the 3 that I've seen, and this is just me being familiar with Russian patterns. The first one you see in the green, that's digital flora, and that's the current service pattern of the Russian Federation, hence their allegiance currently to the Russian military. The second one is the blotch camouflage pattern. It's basically a white with some black like spots on it, and that you can see when they're in the that little frame there with the wolves and the winter one. Which, by the way, that one looks really good given how well they blend into the environment, as they should. Now, the other one that's by the checkpoint, it's the one where the one rifleman is pointing his rifle at the outcast guy. They are wearing the beige coloring of the Gorka suit, which, if you don't know about your Russian equipment, the Gorka suit is a cold weather piece of clothing that was issued to, or is still being issued to Spetsnaz troops in cold weather environments. Now, obviously, Aurora's geographical location is in the Pacific. Russia is more of an Eastern Europe and Asia kind of territory. So for that, but that's the 3 patterns I'm able to describe. To better describe it, I'll give Slick some photos and he can post them as I talk about it for future reference.
Nope,
But yeah,
I'll probably have
Uh,
images of the patterns and stuff in the background while
yeah,
you're talking about it.
yeah. Like I said, I am really glad that that decision was made to have different camouflage patterns. I understand that it's a minor thing to a lot of people, but to me, it's a big deal, and I'm going to be really looking forward to being in a winterized environment, me being in my snow gear, and then having to go against enemy combatants in a snow equipment who are dressed just as I am. Because if you really think about it, Sentinel is a private military corporation. They're PMCs, so they'll literally wear whatever kit, right? When it comes to something like Bodarks, where they're part of a conventional military force, they're going to wear conventional military equipment,
Right.
right? So your basic snow gear, your summer equipment, right?
Hmm.
So yeah.
Well, the good thing is, and I'll definitely try and get screenshots because I am not going to sit there and record my whole screen because I'm an idiot. Um, they do mention in the Ghost Recon forum, and I'll have that linked as well as the trailer link below in the description in case people want to take time to read it themselves. They do talk about how each type of Bodark enemy will have equipment that changes based on the highland, urban, and wild biomes. So
Yes.
it sounds like there's just the three patterns that probably will be there. So I think pretty much what we're seeing in the trailer with, like you said, the green lens, the snow camo, as well as the Gorkas in the urban environment, I think those three are going to be the only ones we see. Which
Yeah.
it's not a lot, but hey, it's something. So I
Oh
appreciate that
no,
too.
it's definitely something. So
Yeah.
I'm glad about it.
And now for your happy section, we're going to get to go to the part with the five archetypes of the different
Mm-hmm.
soldiers.
Yep.
And the first one should be the Tactician. That's the DMR in the long range. So he basically just radios for backup.
Yeah. So the technician, the best way to describe him, he's a radio operator. So, or in short, an RTO. So he's going to be the guy that's going to be you need to prioritize because if you don't, if you get spotted, he's going to be able to call for backup. And as you see in the trailer, when he gets on his radio when they have in that pose, you can see the helicopter and the other Bodarks kind of appear on his right side.
He's got about four troopers, a car, and it looks like a helicopter.
Now, obviously, us saying that doesn't mean it's going to be exact, but that just tells us that like if we get compromised, he is going to be the one that's going to call back up. His weapon of choice I find interesting for a radio operator. He's carrying the what I can make out as an SVDS, which is a Russian like semi-automatic sniper rifle. If you're familiar with the Dreadnought types,
Right.
and it does say that he is equipped with a designated marksman rifle, which I don't think actually. Now that I think about it, we don't have an enemy that has a DMR at this point, do we?
I think, yeah,
That
no, because the snipers all
Sentinel,
have.
yeah, snipers and with Sentinel, it's just bolt action.
Yeah.
It's
So,
mainly the bolt action, and then we have AR shotguns, and that's basically it for Sentinel, I think.
yeah, I think so.
So enemy weapon variety we got also confirmed. Looks like.
Yep. I mean, it would make sense. They're Russian forces. They better be using Russian equipment.
Okay, moving on. So second one we have the oppressor, and that one I can only describe as the
Irritating
shotgunner.
rush. It's basically
Yes,
shotgunner, but with an SMG.
basically, and also keep in mind they have additional armor.
That's yeah. I wonder if it's gonna be kind of like the heavy, where you kind of. I've seen a couple people comment that and ask that. Are they gonna be like the heavies, where you have to shoot off the helmet and then shoot them in the head, or is it like gonna be you can still one shot like with the wolves, where you one tap their head and they're dead?
Hmm. I almost feel like it could be the Wolves one would just be the best example. I feel like that just makes more sense in my head at least.
But they do say they have extra armor. That's why I'm curious about that. So
Yeah, so it might take a couple of rounds to chest before they're down.
yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, they're essentially the Sentinel shotgunners, but this time they're well Russian and they're carrying submachine guns.
What I'm curious about is I can't make out the make of the gun, but I don't recognize. Maybe it's just the angling, but I can't recognize what gun that is just from.
It's the angle. I want to say it's the angle.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that too. So, but what I find funny is let's go to the Dreadnought, and the first thing you notice is Lord Tachanka's helmet. Like that's the
Yeah, I
first thing.
know. The mask of okay. So for those of you once again don't know about Russian equipment, I am here to inform you. The Tachanka helmet, which is so popularly known, is called a Maska 1, and it was a Soviet helmet, which was
Boo.
basically, it was not really loved by the Soviets, just because A, it was heavy as fuck, and B, you couldn't see shit. Please excuse my language.
I mean,
But
that's the only time we could swear in the whole video now. Think of it as
probably
PG-13 movie. You get one attempt.
it's the thing about the Dreadnought is that, to summarize, it's a rocket trooper. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's just that me personally, I'm just not a fan of the headgear choice. I wish they would have gone with an Altan helmet. The Altan is the current helmet that's being used by the Russians. I kind of wish they went with that. It's also because I want Altan in the game.
It's Ubisoft. We
But
gotta get a Tachanka reference somehow.
yeah,
And if
well,
they can't bring arcade guns
also,
into the game, they're bringing that helmet.
again, off script, people mispronounce his name so many times. It's
Tachanka.
It's not the Chanka, it's the Chanka.
Tachunk.
Okay, move forward. So Dreadnought, Rocket Trooper.
He's already tired of my bullshit.
Super self-explanatory.
Yep, that's fair. Obviously, the trooper, we don't need to
The
talk
trooper,
much about that.
and I want to take credit for this for something,
Oh
because
my
the
God.
headgear the trooper is using, I'm going to say it. The headgear the trooper is using, the balaclava, the ballistic goggles, the contacts, like the headset, and then the 6B43 helmet. I originally did that for a VDV build when the teaming experience came out when we got the Russian stuff. So I'm just
I'll
joking.
post a picture in the video because I know Gilly loves to talk about that.
I just found it funny that the headgear that I put together was used. Obviously, it's not for reference. Probably they did it themselves. I just find that funny.
Gilly's working for Ubisoft confirmed. No, just kidding.
But why do you think the Bodex looks so good?
Bruh. Of course you would.
It's
But first thing I'm going to hit you with is the rifle the trooper is holding. That's definitely a new rifle. Because I don't think we've seen that modeling game.
I'm going to be the obvious, like Captain Obvious here, but it's an AK platform. Duh.
Really? I
So,
didn't think the Russians
but
would use
I
AK.
can't make out what Kalashnikov style it is though.
I can't either. That's.
It might be something new that they've just created. But the uniform he's wearing is actually the Gorka suit that I talked about, which is nice to see. And actually, you get a clear shot of the blotch camouflage that I talked about for the winter one.
Right.
Which you see, it's for the trooper. It's the white with the black spots on it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. And then you also have the Seeker who shows up, which I think that'll be fun to, as you can see in the trailer, he's got that optical camo with that cloak around him. So I think that'll be a lot of fun.
The biggest reference I can pull up regarding the Seeker is, I don't know how many people have seen this. It's always in my recommendation, even though I've seen it so many times. There's a short film called Ghost Recon Alpha.
Yes.
And it's basically, yeah, you've seen it, yeah. So it's a Future Soldier kind of esque short film. And then there's a scene where there's a bunch of cloaked, camouflaged people. And those are actually Bodark operators. So when I look at this, I think that's the exact same kit that those guys are wearing. So the Seeker, though, I like the look of him for the optical camo, and then the equipment he's got going on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because you'd expect him to be a sniper, but they have him listed as a rifleman.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice.
So I think it would be cool if they were some of the dudes that were patrolling around.
I think would be interesting.
Or they were in concealed positions, right, with the optical camo used not to their advantage.
Yeah, and you just have no idea where you're being spotted from, especially if you play no HUD like most of the guys from the task force do. That's going to throw you for a loop because all of a sudden you're getting detected out of nowhere and you're like, wait, what's going on? Like a genuine feeling of an ambush. That'll be fun.
Oh, yeah. I think that concludes the Bodark section, which then brings us to actually the next talking point.
The optical camo.
The optical camouflage.
Yep.
Because what's Ghost Recon without optical camo?
That's true.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with the optical camouflage, it was a piece of equipment that was introduced in Future Soldier with the Future Soldier tech, which is basically an illusion type-based camouflage system, which would basically, the way to describe it is it's a transparent camouflage system, which then takes your surroundings and then kind of makes you a bit see-through-ish like. Not really see-through, but it gives you like a silhouette of the environment. It's the best way to put it. And just like Wildland, in Wildlands we also had the addition of the optical camouflage, but I never felt like the optical camo worked in Wildlands. It was
It,
always kind of iffy.
yeah, it was very iffy, and I feel like this time it might actually, especially because, surprise, surprise, unlike the other games, this one actually has a entire upgrade system for it, for the battery duration,
Hmm.
sensitivity, even the camo efficiency, reloading rate. And obviously, as you watch through the frames, the first thing you notice is the default optical camo is not going to camouflage your gun at all, as you can see.
Yeah.
If you're watching the trailer, the first shot of the optical camo, no upgrades, it doesn't even cover your gun. Then Mark 1 covers your gun, but you're still kind of see-through. The second one makes it a lot more clearer, and then the third one is almost nearly completely transparent. Obviously,
Hmm.
there's the outline and the color change, so you yourself can see it, but I suppose it's probably going to be near invisible. And as you watch the next scene, you can see he's able to walk right next to the Sentinel guard and then sneak up on the wolf behind him. So I'd like to test when it actually comes out and see if you can get to
Yeah.
Mark 3 if it actually works and how effective the camouflage actually is, because that was something that everybody was hyped for in Silent Spade and was immediately disappointed when it didn't really do anything for you in actuality.
I
Like it,
mean, to be fair, it was still a cool piece of equipment, though.
oh no, it was still cool as heck, but it just sadly it was not up to the expectations that everybody had for it, which is fair.
Yeah. So yeah, there's the big news. We're getting the optical camouflage system back.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking forward to having giving that a bit of a go.
And then obviously the next part they talk about the gameplay and other improvements. And the first thing is that we're getting 69 more levels. Nice. We're
Of
going
course,
from
sure you
level
had to go.
30.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not surprised you had to go through that.
Yeah, we go from level 30 up to level 99. So player level cap is getting
Why
increased by.
99 though?
I,
Why not 100?
you know what? I asked myself the same thing with the division, but you know what? I'm not
Why
gonna bother.
why specifically 99?
Do you want me to give a genuine answer or a I'm gonna pull a rabbit out of my hat answer based off what little I've done with game development stuff?
Okay, both. Go for it.
Uh, pulling a rabbit out of a hat and hoping I'm right. Probably because it's easier to design a font that you can work with a single digit and double digit. Like obviously you have to change the font a little bit, but
Hmm.
once you get to triple digits, you have to minimize the font. It's probably something that they're like, yeah, I don't really want to mess with the font too much. Let's just go ahead and lower it. Because single digit font, double digit font, most times in games what they do is they just put a 0 in front of the single digits, so like 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3 up until 9.
Hmm.
And then once you get to 10 it switches. So you keep that two digit format going, so you never have to really change the font. And I think you can see that in the division, even though the first number is usually faded. And then, so I'm assuming it's a similar concept here. I haven't played beginning level, so I don't remember. But most games, from my understanding, from little tricks our teacher has told us, usually you keep the font for a single digit and double digit the same font. But once you start getting into triple digits, if you're trying to fit in that same space, you usually have to minimize the font. And that's a lot, that's more coding you have to do and stuff like that. And even though it's pretty short, most people are like, I don't really want to do it. So that's probably why they're stopping at 99. Personally, I
Okay.
would have liked it at
Uh,
100 as well, but
You know what? You gave actually a really good answer that I actually did not expect. Like, you know
and that's
what? But
if
thinking about it,
that's
that's fair to say. I don't think about that kind of stuff.
yeah, I'm in university literally for game design and simulation, so I kind of am learning like small things, and I'm understanding why some things happen the way they do, but it's
Hmm.
still taking a while. So,
Yeah,
but
no, I get that.
yeah. The other thing I wanted to point out, I know you're probably going to jump on this before I do, so I'm going to steal that thunder from you.
Okay.
When they're talking about the level cap increase, they also show level rewards, and they have like the shirt with the plus and the gun with the plus. So I'm assuming that there's going
Yeah,
to be rewards for leveling up.
it's most likely going to be the current leveling system. We have the classes,
Right.
where like every level or so there's like a new unique cosmetic option, or there's like a new gun or something. Because I know for Echelon, when you get rank 10, I think it is, you get the pistol,
Yeah,
and
you get
then
the pistol,
yeah,
and then
yeah, and then
as
you
you
get like cosmetics like camouflages or uniform pieces.
right, because most of the classes, what happens is at level 10 you get the unique weapon blueprint, and then
Hmm.
from there, at every even number, so level 12 you get gloves. For example, the echelons at level 12 you get silencer gloves. At level 14 you get the silencer top. Level 16 you get the silencer pants. Level 18 you get the silencer vest. And then at level 20 you get the ATAX FG weapon paint. You get the silencer mask for the echelons, and you get a blueprint for another assault rifle, the A2 Shorty.
Yeah,
So yeah, you might be right, something like that.
yeah. I know the next part of the trailer talks about like the weapon masteries. I have no idea about that because frankly, I don't upgrade any of my weapons enough because I just primarily get comfortable with what I have and just play the game. So I have no comments onto that.
Okay, so I guess this is where I get to ramble my mouth for quite a bit. But one of the things I notice is they talk about the new weapon mastery system allows you to use your extra skill points in order to improve certain characteristics. And obviously, a lot of people just have a ton of the skill points that they use to unlock things such as the NVGs, the drone stuff, um, other abilities, other items, and stuff like that, which you can find in the tab right next to loadout, the skills tab. You use your skill points to unlock all the skills there, as well as all the classes. And I'll be honest, the only thing that I have not bought from here yet is the thermal vision, simply because I don't like the thermal vision at all.
Yeah,
So,
I don't have it equipped either. I just have NVGs, and that's all I really want to
yeah,
work with. Or if you're using Pathfinder, then they have the white hot thermals, which I'm more of a fan of. I'm not a fan of the other thermals.
yeah. So,
Never have
um,
been.
I will definitely say, it looks like I don't know if you're able to pick which characteristic you're allowed to upgrade with the skill points. I want because from what you can see in the video, shotguns you can upgrade the mobility, assault rifles you can upgrade the accuracy, sniper rifles the handling, and that's all they really talk about there. So I'm wondering if it's limited to, for example, each weapon class has one thing that they can upgrade and that's it, like the assault rifles is only accuracy like in the video, or if maybe you can pick one for each and say like, oh, I want to upgrade accuracy, oh, I want to upgrade handling, I want to upgrade damage, things like that, and you can choose which one you choose to upgrade. I'm kind of wondering how that system as a whole is going to be worked, and I would really like for us to be able to pick. If we had to pick one, then I would like for it to be like pick one that you can do that to. Otherwise, I think it'd be really cool to see if we could upgrade all the different handling systems, but I highly doubt that we'd be able to do that because at that point, maxing out your damage, your handling, your accuracy on an assault rifle, you never need any other weapon class again. So, I don't know. That's that's my thoughts and my opinions on the weapon mastery class system, but I'm glad I finally have a reason to use my like 70 something skill points I have. I know I've seen people say like I have 110, I need to use them. It's
I
like,
have way too many skill points.
yeah, we need to use them, and I'm
Way too
glad it's for
many.
that. And then from here we go on to the fact that Bodark have brought 5 new weapons, and of course, yeah, you're having fun with this.
Oh yeah, because one of the weapons that is going to be new is one of my all-time favorite weapons, which is the Aegis Val, or in Russian Automat Spециальный Val. Which, if you don't know your firearms, the Aegis Val is chambered in 9x39, and it was issued by the end of the first generation Spetsnaz, because first generation Spetsnaz only had Kalashnikovs with like the AK-47s with suppressors. That's all they had. The Val was introduced as a way for Spetsnaz operators to basically maintain a low profile, and they wanted a weapon that can conduct clandestine operations, which was suited for Spetsnaz. Now, the Val has an integrated suppressor, so you don't need to attach one on. There's already one on it. And IRL, it's chambered with subsonic ammunition, so it's quiet. I don't know if that's going to be the same. I personally, is there even a 9x39
I don't
like
I don't
in
know.
this
They
game?
don't. It doesn't really seem to apply in game. The only other one I could think of integrally suppresses the honey badger, and I think they use similar things. So unless they bring in a new ammo type, quote unquote, which
Yeah,
is that's just for like
I
text.
know I know that for the honey badger they use the incorrect ammunition for it. That's as far as I know.
The
But yeah,
brother
we
did
have
say with the
the
Val.
AS Val, which is a AR, and then alongside it, its other counterpart, which is the sniper equivalent, which is the Venturas, the VSS, and that's going to be the same thing. It's going to be 9x39, and it's going to function more as a basically a stealth kind of sniper rifle. If you want to go in something that's not big, like for example a SVD or as the OTS-03 that we got with a teammate, which if you don't know your weapons, that's the rifle Glaz uses in Rainbow Six. So the VSS is going to be much more compact and it's going to be a lot more easy to handle, especially if you want to go through for that, that kind of Spetsnaz close quarters look is the best way I'm going to word it.
Yeah.
So 5 new weapons. So there we have the Russian weapons there, and there's also another AK that's in the background there. I'm assuming that's the AK that we saw the trooper carry, or what most of them are carrying. But again, that must be a new one because I'm not familiar with the body type.
That's fair. One of the ones that definitely called out to me is at the very beginning of when you see they start talking about the new weapons. That's the I think it's the SR3M or S3RM, something like that, from Wildlands being brought back. That's the one with the foregrip at the front that you can fold up or down. Kind of at the very front there, at around 3 minutes and 13 seconds if you're looking for a specific frame.
Oh, that rifle. Oh, yeah, might be actually.
It looks very much like it, so I'd assume it's making a comeback. Um, I have seen a couple people actually comment if I go ahead and pause while we're looking at the transition where we see the VSS Val and the knife. Somebody was commenting that they have the EMP grenades that look very similar to Thatcher's, which I didn't even notice the first time I was watching. That was actually an interesting call out.
And I actually just noticed that there's another rifle that I missed completely that I'm just seeing it now.
You mean the one behind the
That's
bullet
actually,
calibers?
yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that actually.
yeah, because that to me looks like two things, right? But for those of you that played Modern Warfare, you'll know it as the Odin. And IRL, it's two different firearms. It's the Ash 12, which is a 12.7 caliber, which is a fucking excuse my language, which is a big,
We're
big round. You can you can borrow that if you'd like.
I'm going to.
So yeah, so we have the Ash 12, which is an AR. It's a Russian bullpup weapon. And then also on the topic of bullpup, the Russians also have not so long, a couple of years ago, they introduced a rifle called the VKS, which is what I want to guess that rifle is because it's got the colossal suppressor, like the really big beefy suppressor as you can see on there. So, but that's
It
just the best
does,
description I have for
yeah, it
it.
does remind me of a VKS now that I look at it more.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the newer weapons that's coming out. So I don't know whether they do the Ash 12 equivalent, which is the AR. It has a shorter magazine on the back from what I'm seeing, so it could be the VKS, but then that remains to be seen. And then, like I said, on the left hand side of it, just before it pans off, there's a new AK, and I can't tell what kind of AK that is.
I'm gonna be
It's
honest,
it's got the
no idea.
buttstock looks like a 12, like the AK-12, and then coming around the middle we have like a 74 type
Yeah.
body, but for the rest I can't tell. Might be something completely new.
I Yeah, I have no idea. But what's interesting to me is still the EMPs because the more I stare at it, the more I think about that. The one guy who commented that is absolutely right. It reminds me of Thatcher's EMP grenades from
Must be
Siege.
just for show. Or it
Probably
could be a new piece of gadget, who knows? Not everything has been revealed according to my information.
true. And then we kind of go into Maria's shop, and the first thing that everybody sees is we've got the ACR back, baby.
Yep, the Remington ACR has finally made its return.
I am
And I'm happy
definitely
about
picking
that.
that up the second the update drops. So,
Yeah, we got the ACR, then we got a couple of other weapons that return, and then I believe the M110 was spotted also.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think it's the third one that was brought up, but the second rifle kind of reminds me of, I think in Wildlands it was classified as the SR1. I'm not sure what the actual
Yeah,
name for it is, but that's what I'm thinking of when I
yeah, I'm
say
not
that.
too familiar with it.
So there's that rifle, and then the next one is the one that everyone's been saying is possibly the M110 or the SR25. So
The thing is, though, is that the buttstock doesn't remind me of an
no,
M110.
the buttstock doesn't absolutely remind me of that at all, but that's what people have been saying on the internet, so I'll keep my eyes on it, we'll see.
Like I said, I need to wait for the official like the patch notes, and then when they have more information, because then they'll most likely go. Because I know they'll probably have another trailer that comes out sometime just before Motherland releases. Well, they'll just go in depth about some of the new things going on.
hmm the next rifle that pops up, I don't recognize the model of it, but it reminds me of the Resistance rifle that came out with the Terminator event, and it looks like just a short barrel version of that. That's just me.
The Steyr there, the AUG.
Is that the AUG? That doesn't look like the AUG to me at all.
It's got the body of an AUG, but it's got the overall frame of an AUG, but it doesn't look. Oh, actually,
Because if you
that
look,
oh, that is weird because the upper receiver towards where the bolt is, that looks heavily like an AK platform.
yeah, that's
Now that I'm looking at it, oh, that's
That's why,
confusing.
if you look at the Resistance rifle that shows up in the Ghost Recon Breakpoint when you did the Terminator event, that rifle is almost very identical to this one, minus it has a longer barrel. So that's kind of why I think that,
Yeah.
that's why I'm kind of thinking that. But apart from that, we've obviously got new cosmetics for all the new vehicles. We've got a
hmm
new pair of glasses. I don't think anyone really cares for that. But then we get
Yeah,
excited
the
because,
vehicle customization is going to be mainly tied to the Russians, the
yeah,
camo patterns, and it's pretty suiting to be honest. And
that's
then
fair.
yeah, we got the customization, the glasses, which is yeah,
Blue tinted glasses. Nobody cares. But
and
then
then
you've got
yeah,
the
I'll let you say
goggles.
it. I'll let you say it.
Sorry,
There you
sorry.
go. I'll let you say it.
You got the goggles with the cross comms, and then you got Kozak's whole setup for the helmet, the face mask, the glasses. You got it all, and it's like yeah.
You know what I like about the goggles? It's the ACH goggles as
Yep.
well, which is the ones that I actually love rocking all the time because it's just how slick they
Oh
look.
yeah.
Bleh, English. So, but yeah,
I would
cross
definitely
comms.
be running these.
I for those of you that think you're gonna get the crosscom HUD,
No,
probably not gonna happen. But
cosmetic.
for a, it's going to be cosmetic. It's the same thing with the glasses and Wildlands, but instead of glasses, it's going to be an actual goggles, which I'm actually glad about, which looks better. But if you want a glasses type, there's always Kozak's glasses as well.
Yep.
And speaking of the Kozak helmet, is that all going to be one piece or is that going to be separate?
I assume that's one piece, unless they also do separate pieces for each.
Because we know, and we'll see later on, we know of the icon skin that's coming for Kozak.
hmm
But then when they're showing some of the new items like the Gorka pants, you see Fury that's off on the left, and she's wearing part of Kozak's kit.
I think the funniest thing is I was just about to transition over to that. And
Yeah.
kind of using Gilly's thing to kind of transition over, you've got, as you can see on the left, as she's leaning on the, I cannot pronounce that Mark II helicopter.
Yeah, that's the one I think Bodark is using, which
Yep.
is the current attack helicopter in the game. Like I said, I have no idea what it is and how it's pronounced and called.
But if you look at it on the left, she's definitely got Kozak's glasses, which are the crosscom glasses. She's got the Future Soldier top, and she's got the Future Soldier vest, which means that at least Kozak's gear is going to be mostly individual, with
Yep.
the exception of the pants. And then obviously you had a field day when you saw it. They have the Gorka pants, the Spetsnaz balaclava, the
Gorka.
Gorka jacket. Yeah, no,
Okay,
Gilly
so
was
I want to
going
point
insane.
out for those of you that are absolute meme lords, the Spetsnaz balaclava is the cheeky breeky mask.
Oh my
That's
God.
all I'm going to say. But
God.
yeah, no, we have the Gorka suit, we got the pants, we got the jacket, and as you can see, there's also the body armor that Fix It is his name. Yeah,
Yeah, fix it.
yeah. The body armor he's wearing, as you can see, is Russian Defender 2, or the IRL version is Defender 2 Emerald, because Defender 2 is a body armor system that is still in use actually by Russia, And the difference between Defender 2 and Defender 2 Emerald is that Defender 2 is just a pure, just standard body armor, nothing on it. The Emerald, which you can see actually the Bodak rifleman wearing in some screenshots, it has a molly system, so you can attach, as you can see, pouches and other miscellaneous items and such. But a Russian body armor, I'm actually glad about, and that's going to go very, very well with the Gorka suit. So look for that.
Honestly,
Bodark MVGs as well, which from what I'm seeing, it looks like the same MVGs that the Seeker is wearing, which the kind of PVS-7 with the one monocle, which is fine by me.
that'll be interesting for sure. But the two things that kind of scream out to me kind of here, I don't know if it's just me, but if you look at the way when Fix-It turns for a second, you can see that the helmet's very much like Kozak's helmet, which is it's got the tan like rails for you to put the attachment stuff, but the main body itself is grayish blackish, and it looks like he's wearing the same headset as with the Future Soldier helmet that we saw
Oh,
earlier.
yeah, I see
So
what you mean.
yeah, that's why I was thinking about when you said that there possibly could be separate items as well. That's what was making me think that that's also a possibility.
Yeah, well, we saw in that preview we have Kozak's whole headgear, and then
Right.
Fury's wearing the glasses. So that's what I'm curious about. Is that going to be one piece? But and with us just talking about it, it might be separate. But then
It
again, we'll have to wait and see.
it might be that you can do the full thing, so you can get like the face thing with the skull on it. You know what I'm talking about, the Ghost Recon skull with
Yeah,
the bottom half,
yeah, the Future Soldier skull on it.
and everything else is separate. So if you want the skull, you have to wear everything together. Otherwise, you can have everything separate. That's what I'm thinking. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
But obviously, we kind of end with the whole celebration for the 20th anniversary of Ghost Recon. You've got the three separate skins: Alicia Diaz from Ghost Recon 2, John Kozak from Future Soldier, and the legendary Scott Mitchell himself from Advanced Warfighter. Which, the first thing I was going to straight up ask, was he wearing multicam in
Nope.
Advanced Warfighter? Because I
Nope.
thought it was UCP.
In Advanced Warfighter, Advanced Warfighter 2, he was wearing UCP or the ACU pattern, like the gray army pattern.
Oh,
Because I played the heck out of Advanced Warfighter 2. I absolutely love that game, and that's basically what they were all wearing was the U.S. Army pattern at the time.
yep.
So, but yeah, no, he didn't wear multicam. Multicam was like not even that popular nor well known around that time when that game released. So
I I suppose that's more of an aesthetic change than anything.
yeah, but as you can see, he's got the goggles once again with the cross column. He's got the very interesting like the armor system. But then again, that goes with what was in the. If you look at the cover art for Advanced Warfighter, Advanced Warfighter 2, it matches up with it. So once again, new cosmetic stuff. Now these are icon skins, are they not?
As far as we know, they're supposed to be icon skins, so we don't even know, apart from Kozak's, who we can essentially break down and confirm, we have no idea if Scott Mitchell or Alicia Diaz's cosmetics will be even available at all.
Well,
But
and during the 20th anniversary live stream, they showed off some of the gear, and then they had some characters wearing just the excuse me, just the Scott Mitchell vest.
that's true,
So
so that is a possibility that you could break it
might
down.
be, might not. But hey, I'm perfectly fine with rocking as my boy Kozak and one and only Mitchell, you know.
That's fair. I'll
So yeah.
definitely be.
Also, but because I have to say it, I have to say it.
Oh God.
Why you blouse cries? Stop that.
Why are you the way that you are?
Because I am, and it irritates me.
I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about Ubisoft.
Fair point.
Brett.
Like I said, why you blouse cries? Please stop.
Why you
Anyways,
browse
moving
clients?
on. English is my second language.
Yes, I know. Elvish is you first. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the rest of the trailer. I mean, it pretty much just ends with kind of them saying that's all for now and then seeing you next time on Aroa. So I'm pretty sure that we're pretty good on that set. I
Yeah.
don't but I'm definitely excited. I know a lot of people have been saying that they're happy because it feels like a return to form for Ghost Recon, especially after the announcement of Frontline, which I'm not even going to start, but all I will say is
I'm
oof.
no,
But
no.
no, just no.
Yeah.
But I
No,
will say,
Motherland is. I'm beyond excited for Motherland. The last time I was excited for a update was Red Patriot, and we all know earlier in the video how I felt about that.
oh yeah,
Don't get me wrong, I love the missions. I was just not pleased with the lack of boat arc, and it seems like my wish has been fulfilled with this update. But obviously, it's not about like. It's a little bit about the faction. It's more about how the game is going to play, how the missions are going to play, how many missions there's going to be. Because keep in mind, this has been advertised as the biggest operation yet. So we'll have to see how that one plays out. But this is shaping up to be a very good update, and I'm actually looking forward on playing it on November 2nd when it releases.
oh I definitely feel the same way. I'm definitely excited, and I know that while I won't be able to live stream gameplay on November 2nd, I will definitely be trying to get some recorded footage of my first initial impressions, so that way people can kind of get to see some of the gameplay. Just because of the constraint of time and stuff like that, I probably won't be doing much of editing. I'll probably just get straight raw footage from one of the first missions and just post it like that, just
Yeah.
so that way I could get that out there so everybody can kind of see for themselves. Um, but otherwise, no, actually, it was really great having you because even though I joke about how much you talk constantly about Russian gear, it was really great to have you and get you to genuinely explain a lot more about the in-depth stuff because I myself, as most people would probably know, I am a NATO gear kind of person. I prefer NATO kind of gear and stuff like that. I don't bother
Western
looking.
equipment, yeah, which is nothing wrong with that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that I was able to bring down the knowledge of the
Yes.
Eastern side.
Yes. We needed the elf to explain the other side of the world for us.
Basically, yeah.
But yeah, no. So that's pretty much going to be it. If there's anything that you noticed in the trailer that you think's important, or if you think that we did not point something out clearly enough, or we incorrectly pointed something out, then feel free to go ahead and hit us in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback. Let us know what you think about Motherland. Will you be playing Breakpoint when Motherland comes out? Yes or no? Let us know in the comments. Slap that like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not already. And as many other people say, have a wonderful day.